citizens arrest! Citizens arrest!
The first rule
The Entertainment Roundtable.
is you do not talk about
The Entertainment Roundtable.
Wonder Twin powers activate!
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I am the smartest man alive!
How much clearer can I say? There's always money in the banana stand!
Idiot! God, so stupid. What a dumb question.
This is madness! This is
The Entertainment Roundtable.
It's time!
Oh, we must be into the holiday movie season. Why? Because I've watched one movie twice already.
That's incredible.
Is that what that means?
That's what that means. It means it to me anyway. Welcome to the holiday season. Almost. We're almost into the holidays. We're into the holiday movies part of the season. Let's put it that way.
Getting there with the quickness.
Big time. Good morning to Jeff running the board. Thank you very much for sitting in for Dustin, who will unseat you next hour.
Oh, no. It happens.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Awake and ready to go?
I'm so used to it.
There, yeah, no
This
kidding.
chair already conforms to my tea honey. I'm in it so often.
With that said, good morning to David.
Hey.
How are you, man? Josh, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing great.
All kinds of business going on as Mother's Night Out ramps up.
Mom's Night Out is definitely it's coming down the line. Mother's Day next year, I believe.
Still shooting for Mother's Day? Everything looking good?
You never know with these studios, but yeah, right now, that's
looking
the plan.
Good, good deal. And Ryan on the phone. Hello, Ryan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you? I just paid a visit to our friends over in Asgard. Can't wait to talk about it later.
I think we got a bunch of people that are going to be talking about that. In fact, all of us.
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Done.
You've seen it?
Yep.
You've seen it?
You know I've seen it.
I've seen it twice. With that said, let's kick it off here, and stop me if you have seen this movie and not reviewed it before as we kick off the top 10 of the week. First of all, two ways to get in touch with us. Facebook page, facebook.com/whatever with Steve West. On Twitter, @101 Roundtable. And one of these days, I'm going to have somebody actually working that Twitter account. I'm going to have to get to that. Top 10 films of the week here. In at number 10, this is where we stop, because in at number 10 is The Counselor. Made $3.2 million, 13.6. You
saw it.
Have seen it, Josh. All right, your opinion. Is it worth $3.2 million and still sitting in the top 10?
Yes. I think it's
Okay.
worth a little bit more. I mean, it's a tough watch. I love Ridley Scott films. I thought it was, I can't believe it did as low as it did with all those names. I mean, there was like name talent for every aspect of this film. The director, the writer, the actors.
But the biggest complaint seems to be that this thing is a little convoluted.
Convoluted, yeah. It's harsh. Yeah, it's harsh to watch. I mean, it's a hard R. But I liked it. It was hard to follow a little bit. A little bit had that that feel. That writer, he does movies like that. He did the No Country for Old Men, I believe, was the last film he wrote.
Well, actually, he didn't write the film. He wrote the books the films are based on. He actually wrote the screenplay for this. It's Cormac McCarthy's first original screenplay.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. Intense to watch. So 1 out of 10 stars. I would probably give it a 5.
And you're pretty hard usually, so
yeah,
I would
just
say
a
that's
solid.
probably 7,
I like
7.5
this
for
movie.
the rest of us.
I enjoyed watching it.
Okay.
And it was fun to follow. So there you go.
I would mention Escape Plan, but it's fallen way outside of the top 10 already. But you have finally gone to check out this.
Gosh, I would not have watched it if I did not watch it for free. I'm just going to put that as the premise.
All right, let's see how close he comes to this bar for me. I called this film an amazing chunk of white American 80s cheese. And if you were really, really a humongous fan, in other words, you bowed at the poster for the movie Commando from Arnold Schwarzenegger from about now 30 years ago, this is the movie for you. Otherwise, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10.
I'd give it lower.
But again, you're one of the you're the harshest critic on this show.
I would probably give it a 2 out of 10 at best. Maybe a 1. I'm just giving 2 because
overall
I like
review,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. 2 out of 10 stars. I just thought it was one of the dumbest movies I've ever watched. I felt more stupid after I left than before I went in. But I mean, it's so bad. Here's the redeeming factor. It's so bad, it's kind of fun to watch because it's like the best bad movie out.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It is. It is a horribly bad film done with a straight face.
Come on. I mean, seriously.
My question for you is this. See if you agree with this statement. It was okay knowing that it was bad 80s cheese.
Yep.
Until about the last 15 minutes of the film, and then it just went way off the deep end and torpedoed the whole thing.
Yes, I agree. I just loved when they tried to have like a plot to it.
Movies,
boo.
Movies like that always make me nostalgic for like remember in the 80s, like on cable when it would be on PBS Superstation would play nothing but like guy movies.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like Saturday Submarine Attack.
Codename Albatross.
Yeah. I miss those days.
Yeah. Well, Escape Plan would fit in there perfectly.
I never watched it.
It's not
I
very
just
good.
like the commercials.
It's not very good. It really isn't. Up to number 9, $3.4 million in a debut for Carrie. Not good. And this was the film that you actually thought was going to do well, Jeff.
Was it?
You thought it was going to do pretty good.
Did I?
Yeah. It's not very good.
I think we've had our fill of horror films this year. They've made their money. It's time to be done.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time,
it's
people.
over with.
Movies are starting to get more happy.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, another $4.2 million, 106.2 there. 12 Years a Slave, you were talking about this a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, that's great.
Speaking of movies getting happy.
Yeah, really. $4.6 million over the past weekend. It's up to 8.8. This amazes you. Why?
Because how limited the release is. You're dealing with a movie that came out on 410 screens compared to, let's say, The Counselor when it came out, probably came out on 3,000 screens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a limited release strategy, and sometimes it fails, and sometimes it does really well. In this case, it's doing well.
Well, it's not on 410 screens now. It's expanded out, right?
Yeah, it started at like 7. But still, on 410 screens, that's a per-screen average of 11,000 per screen, which that's big.
Yeah.
So basically, these kind of films, they build awareness. Silver Linings Playbook did this. They start in a small amount of screens, and they sell out, and they just slowly expand. And this will end on a 2,000 to 3,000 screen release. I mean, just the way it's going. I want to see it really bad, so I think I might check it out this weekend.
Okay. Where's it playing around here?
You know, when I checked, it was playing at the Patton Creek 15 last, but
wow.
I haven't looked this week.
Okay.
But yeah, you got Brad Pitt's in it, and what's the main guy? I forget his name, but he's really good. There you go.
El Jafar, something like that.
It's good.
Bless you.
The operative from Serenity.
Yes, there you go.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Up to number 6, Captain Phillips, 8.5 million, 82.6. Gravity hanging in there, still making more than $10 million a week. 13.1 million. That's $219.2 million. This thing has turned into a big monster.
Such a good movie.
Freebirds debuts to $16.2 million. And our friends down at the Amstar Theater in Alabaster, they said that this was their best performing film of the past weekend because it was family oriented.
Yeah.
People had already seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. He said Carrie tanked. And we'll get to the other one here in a minute.
Still, Freebirds spent
second for him.
$55 million on this film, so $15 million isn't so good. I mean, if in time they reach that, it's not a huge win.
Yeah. Up to number 3, Las Vegas, $16.5 million debuted. Checked it out. Actually, pretty funny.
Really?
I enjoyed it. It's a tamer and an older version of The Hangover. It's 4 friends played by Michael Douglas and Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Kline. 4 very likable guys as actors from disparate parts of the country. One's in California. You got a couple of them in New York. One's down in Florida. And they're all getting together because Michael Douglas, the confirmed bachelor of the group, is finally going to tie the knot and get married, and he wants to celebrate and brings everybody out to Vegas for it. It's actually quite funny. There is language in there, but it's not so much that you feel like you need to get your ears cleaned out when you leave.
So this isn't exactly Goodfellas De Niro, then?
No, it's not. It's not. It's actually good. And as we were leaving, there was an older lady there, and we got to talking with her about it, and she said she just enjoyed it. And I asked her, I said, just to be curious, are you offended by the language? She said, I don't really like it a whole lot, but in that, I could stand it.
Old people hangover.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's good. It's good. I'm not going to give it great marks. I'm probably going to give it about a 7.5 out of 10. It's worth watching. But if it's not high up on your priority list, you could save it for DVD. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wasn't big on the young people hangover, so
yeah, this one is better.
It wasn't that good.
That's a great film.
This one is
I'm
better to
offended at
me.
you.
But then again, I like Kevin Kline. I think Kevin Kline is a highly underrated actor.
Jeff, you're not going to give any love to Hangover?
Saw it once.
Yeah, I've seen it once.
Due Date was much better.
Due Date was funny. I don't think it was better, but there you go.
Up to number 2, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, another $20.5 million.
I've got to see this.
62.1.
I didn't see it.
I
wanna say
was
somebody called me,
surprised it's doing this well.
I don't know.
I want to see it.
I I don't know why it's doing this well. And in at number 1, Ender's Game, $28 million in its opening weekend. Is this about where it was supposed to be, Ryan?
I think they said it was around there, if not 35 million at least.
I think it's
so
a
it may
little
have
bit
underperformed a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay. Who all has seen this? I know Jeff and I have.
I've seen it.
I haven't.
You have. Okay. Ryan?
Negative, sir.
You have not seen it. Okay, we'll start with you, Josh.
Yeah.
Ender's Game, your thoughts?
You know, it was good for what it was. That's what I would say. It was good. It was a good version of itself. But I did not like the film. I thought it was Space Camp on steroids.
Okay.
I never read the books. I heard the books were great. The concept was pretty good, but it didn't work for me. It didn't connect with me. I didn't relate with the characters.
Okay.
So I would say out of 10 stars, I'd probably give it a 4.
Okay.
And yeah.
Notoriously hard, probably translates into about a 6.5 for the rest of us. Jeff, you read the book.
I have read the book a few times.
And then you went to go in and watch the movie. You
Yes.
preconceived notions?
I was just hoping that they would do it justice.
Did they?
I think so. They really did. They at the same time, it could have used a couple of minutes here and there, especially at the end, between the climax and the coda. Maybe a couple more scenes just to show the effects that the events had on the characters, because they sort of go from this, big revelation that is somewhat horrifying to this hopeful coda at the end without really showing the effects. And that's what the whole thing is about, the effects of warfare on these kids. And at the same time, they did hit all the important beats. I thought it was really good. Harrison Ford finally didn't sleepwalk through a movie for the first time in the last few years. Hopefully there's a director's cut coming on home video, so a few, like I said, a couple things can have a little bit more room to breathe. But I'd give it a solid 7.
Okay. I'm going to kind of go along with him. Visually, it's a great movie. I mean, just the way that they did all the effects and everything, visually, it's fantastic. So I give them high marks on that, like a 9, 9.5. Yeah, I agree. Finally, Harrison Ford has found his acting chops again. I don't know what was that, finally inspired him, but he's back, at least for one film. I really enjoyed that. And the kid played it pretty straightforward. I mean, you got to understand this is a kid with high intelligence, and he's going to outsmart people instead of outbrawn people. And it does make it interesting, but he doesn't play it with a whole lot of emotion. It's kind of cold in that way.
Yeah.
And then you understand why as he's going through. And it does work. I think the way that they present it, as opposed to probably the way that they presented it in the book, and Jeff, you can by all means correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I'm sure it was presented in the book, his training process probably took, a year, 2 years?
Right. In the book, he was at battle school for at least a couple of years.
Okay. In the way that they put it in the movie, basically he lands on there, he outsmarts one group and moves on to the next group within 3 weeks.
Yeah. It seemed that way. That's another thing. I mean, and of course they do have to condense, but it really seemed like a shorter span of time.
Yeah. It seemed almost too condensed the way that
I
they
would agree
did
with that, yeah.
But I will give him credit. It was a nice twist at the end of the film, but if you are paying attention and you're familiar with films, you kind of see that twist coming.
Yep.
Before it happens. It's not overly telegraphed, but it's there. There's signs of that it's there. Not going to give it away. I'm probably going to give this about a 7.5 out of 10, and it is something that I'm considering when it comes out on DVD getting, because I did really, really enjoy it. All right, here we go. The one big film that comes out this week. The three of us, Jeff and David and myself, we had the opportunity to go check this out from our friends at Amstar, and I'm going to give them a big shout-out here because they are really being very hospitable towards us.
They are the best.
We love them.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to make sure that I mention this one more time because they are working up their cans for a cause. It's a drive for canned goods to support the Salvation Army. All of the people that are coming have the chance, if they donate 10 cans of food, to get snacks, free popcorn, stuff like that. And if you happen to be in the running for this, 300 cans for a great cause, they will give you a movie pass that will last for the entire year of 2014 to get in as many movies as you want.
Wait a minute. All you got to do is give 300 cans?
That's it. And you can get into every single film that is shown at Amstar Theaters in Alabaster for the entire year of 2014.
Jeff's over there doing math.
I'm thinking, let's team up.
That's less than a can a year.
If we all go together, we could share the ticket.
Exactly. So think about that when we talk about the fact that David, Jeff, and I had the chance to go see this. It actually officially came out Thursday, but we got to see it Wednesday night in 3D. By the way, the way to go.
Oh,
Because
really?
I
3D
actually went
is.
to go see it the next night. I'm getting my days mixed up. I went to go see it again Thursday night, watched it in 2D. Here's the main difference between 3D and 2D. In 3D, you're going to get 4 to 4.5 minutes of the Captain America the Winter Soldier coming out next March.
Oh.
That's the way to go.
Kaboom.
Just giving you the hint. Ryan, you said you've seen it, correct?
Yes, sir, I have.
Kick off the reviews for us.
All right, well, I chose to see Thor: The Dark World in 2D. I didn't jump on this whole 3D bandwagon 5-minute preview of Captain America trip, but at the same time...
Have I whet your appetite for it, though?
Yeah, but
I'm sold.
2D for me, and this film wasn't even originally filmed in 3D, so they already lost me there.
Yeah, and that's probably, I think, going to be the biggest complaint for me is the fact that being post-converted, not really that much of a difference. The only difference, again, is that 4.5 minutes of Captain America that you get.
Unfortunately, I didn't have the pleasure of seeing that 4.5 or so minutes. But anyway, I digress. Thor: The Dark World, once again, win. Marvel, you get another victory. I love you. Great movie, great action. Love the cast, the returning members of the cast. Some new members thrown in for good measure. Love it. But, however, humor, little too much on the humor, especially with one character played by Stellan Skarsgård's character. But at the same time, like the mind games that were played, yes, there were 1 or 2 surprises thrown in there that shocked me to the core, brother. But at the end of the day, Thor: The Dark World, 8.5 out of 10, slightly better than Iron Man 3. And the reason that is because of some of the mind games that Loki and Thor were playing on the enemy in this film.
Jeff, he gives it an 8.5. Where are you going?
I'm going to go probably 0.5 down from him. I'd give it an 8, but at the same time, I love the fact that it seems like these Marvel Phase 2 movies, Marvel Studio is finally saying, you know what? The first few films, we decided we were going to give you these heroes grounded in a real world.
Mm-hmm.
They've put the geek flag up the flagpole finally. Like, you know what? That's enough of that grounding. We're going to show you just how weird we can be. And I love it. I thought this was a great movie, much better than the original Thor, as far as basically just expanding the scope of it. And I really, like I said, I give it a solid 8. And go see it. It's going to make $1 billion this weekend anyway.
Yeah, it will.
May as well be one of them.
All right, so we got an 8.5. We got an 8. David, where are you going?
All right, well, I gave the original Thor like a 5.5, so I'm going to give this one a 6.6. I thought it was really good.
It's like the Richter scale over here.
And by Thor 3, it will probably be a 7 or an 8.
7.7.
Maybe. Or it could go like the Iron Man route and like actually drop in the sequel. But I thought there was quite enough comedy. I thought it was really funny. The biggest problem is that there's not enough Christopher Eccleston. I've seen this man act. They just didn't give enough to him. Other than that, though, I would say it was a great movie. Go see it.
Okay, so we've got an 8.5, an 8, and a 6.6. Josh and I have yet to give our opinions. That is what we're going to do when we come back on the Entertainment Roundtable right here. Superstation 101 WIDE on a Saturday morning.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in, listening to the Entertainment Roundtable here. I'm Steve West, Jeff Myers, David, Josh, and Ryan on the phone, and we're going around the table. We're talking about Thor. By the way, that song, Two Princes, you can find on the soundtrack to the movie A Case of You. It's a limited release film. We'll get to it here in just a couple of moments. All right, so let's do the quick review here. We're in the middle of talking about Thor: The Dark World. Ryan gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Jeff, a little bit lower, 8 out of 10.
The Ocho.
You, David, decided to be a little more on the critical side.
Yeah.
You said it was better than the first one, but it's at a 6.6.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's not going to be as good as the Avengers or even most of the Iron Man movies.
All right, and let's go to the man who generally is the harshest reviewer here, and that's Josh.
But it's Marvel. And Marvel, you expect to deliver, something fun that you're going to enjoy. So with me, I went into it with expectations that were met. Nothing was exceeded. It wasn't lower.
Okay.
I did not like the first Thor film. I didn't get it. But after watching Avengers, then watching this movie, I kind of get it. I kind of get that character. I thought it was fun. I like Natalie Portman a lot. I liked the relationship between Thor and Loki. He's just kind of an awesome bad guy. And you're almost, I'm not going to give anything away, but you kind of like him at one part of this film, and you're like, oh, gosh, why do I like him? I'm supposed to hate him. And then you're like, oh, never mind. So, yes, I would give it probably more on the lines of Dave. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
That's solid 6. It was fun. I mean, it's not. It's just. I was not amazed. I wasn't blown away. I wasn't surprised. It was just kind of. This is good fun. This is good Marvel fun.
This one, I think, and we've got a roundtable topic that we're gonna get to about how much money these films are gonna make here as we deal with the holiday season and which ones we're really, really looking forward to. I can see this one being the blockbuster. I can see this one being the top money maker because visually they've kept the world of Asgard fantastic the way that they set it up. The effects are really, really good. The best thing about this, and I agree with most of you when it comes to the first versus the second one, I liked the first one. I really enjoyed the second one. The first one spent a lot of time trying to get you familiar with Thor. This one, it says, you know what? We're familiar with you. If you're not familiar with him, that's your bad. Right. We're getting into the action. Let's go.
Your problem.
Let's do this. We're going to make it work, and we're going to have fun. And by the way, you got to realize there's like all these different dimensions and all these different ways of going around space and all this kind of. So you know what? Try and catch up.
Yeah, they're not even attempting to make these standalone anymore.
No. And again, this is Marvel's plan. They're interweaving all of these. They made the reference. They didn't deal with it a whole lot, but they made the reference to what happened in New York. Mm-hmm. By the way, nice bit of humor between Natalie Portman when she finally meets Loki. And a couple of nice little cameos in there, done, quote-unquote, by Loki. Watch for that.
Right.
Yeah,
on the humor side, when you're talking about it, you felt it was a little overdone, Stellan Skarsgård?
Yeah, with his character, yeah, and then the one part, it wasn't a humor part, it was what they did with one character that I was a little emotional about, but yeah, I think you know what I'm going with that.
I think I know where you're going with it. I would say if it was overboard by anyone, to me it was Kat Dennings. I mean, she's got a very deadpan delivery, and you can tell that she's enjoying being in that role. But there's a part where you just kind of go, okay, I'm right on the edge of enough.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
I didn't
too.
fall off the cliff, but I was right on that edge of going, okay, I've almost had enough. It's just borderline.
I'm going to go for the Darcy movie myself.
You know what?
She does have a dry wit and a real quick sense of humor, which I appreciate.
If I watched weekly Two Broke Girls, I would probably not like this movie.
See, that's why I don't watch Two Broke Girls.
It would just be enough.
But in the end, as I look, it's not quite enough of Eccleston. Well, a long period of time where he's not in the film. And there are parts of the film that slow down. They, quote unquote, allow you to catch your breath. The problem is as opposed to most films, when they do give you a chance to catch your breath, it's just a moment. Yeah. And then you're back into the action. Here, you had long periods of time where you were able to catch your breath. And then finally they got back to the action.
I'll agree with that.
So while I think that this was better than the first film I think I gave a 6.5 after having watched it. And I didn't watch it on the big screen, so keep that in mind. I give it a 6.5. This one I'm going to give a 7. I'm going to give this 7.75. It's between 7.5 and 8 for me. It's a nice step up, but Thor, out of all the characters, is probably the one that I'm least familiar with when it comes to the Avengers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm not yet as into this character probably as a number of other people are. Ryan and Jeff, I think you guys are probably both more familiar with Thor than I am. I'm fairly certain,
Safe
Jeff,
to
you
say.
are. So, I'm still trying to play catch up to the character. Everybody who's in it is really, really, and you can tell that they relish playing this. They're having a great time doing it.
I want to throw one thing in
and that's what
there.
makes it fun.
I'd love that they finally figure out ways to have fun with this hammer this time. A lot of cool things going on with the hammer.
Yeah,
cool.
A lot of cool
things. Exactly. One of them, or we're not going to give away anything if you've watched any of the trailers, the part where he blows up the rock.
Right.
The big humongous rock in the David versus Goliath looking scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. You enjoy that. That's where you're going into it and you're looking at it and saying Marvel is going to enjoy it and have a good time with this one instead of going down the dark road, which they did with Iron Man 3. I liked it, but it was a much darker film than Thor 2.
And Thor delivered that line when he hit the rock monster better than Brad Pitt did in Troy.
That's true. He did.
That is true.
So I think most of us would recommend this film if you are any kind of a Marvel fan at all or a superhero film fan. I think we all agree this is a film to go watch.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Out in limited release, if you can find them, good luck. The Armstrong Lie, a documentary about shame cyclist Lance Armstrong. I don't think I'd even want to see this.
I would want to see that.
Do you?
Yeah, it looks great.
I have no interest.
He started out shooting a documentary about Lance Armstrong, and then halfway through he realized like, oh god, this guy's doping, and like the story starts coming out. So he has like all of this footage. I think it's gonna be a really neat, in-depth documentary about the guy. And he has some of the
do
only
a really bad pun, but I'm not gonna.
It's one of the only. He has like some of the only exclusive interviews with him about it. Some really intimate interviews that I think would be pretty cool to watch.
I don't know. Should I go with a really bad pun?
Do it.
Do it. Please.
It was starting off as a really nice documentary about Lance Armstrong, and then the wheels came off.
Oh.
I was going to ask Josh.
I told you it was a bad pun.
I was going to ask Josh if the movie looked dope.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Wow. Nerds.
Here we go. Moving on. Alicia Silverstone and John Cryer in a film called Ass Backwards. Don't know what that's about.
They're working?
Yeah, it's
They
amazing.
both got them in a film together?
Exactly.
Really?
Wow. Somehow John Cryer found time from his wooden character in 2.5 Men.
Is Molly Ringwald in it?
Yeah, really. Best Man Down is out. A Case of You. We were playing the song Two Princes when we came back from commercial break, and that stars Evan Rachel Wood, Sam Rockwell, among others. Great Expectations is out in limited release. Helena Bonham Carter and Ralph Fiennes. Movies like How I Live Now, Medora, Paris Countdown, Reaching for the Moon, and we're 2 weeks away-ish from the Hunger Games sequel, Catching Fire?
We are.
There is a spoof of the Hunger Games that is coming out in limited release. It
Yes!
is called The Starving Games.
It's from the
I'm
same
excited.
idiots that did the scary movies and
Yeah.
epic movie. and
They
all
make
that.
like box office hits. I love those movies.
Yeah. And
They're
this
cheap.
is out in limited release.
It's cheap, yes, Jeff, but it's
you must
funny.
hate the airplane. You must hate Airplane, right? Naked Gun, you don't like that?
I love the Naked
Love
Gun.
Airplane.
Then how can you even appreciate this crap?
Yeah, this is really bad stuff.
And it's the lowest common denominator.
It's just fun to watch people mock films that Hollywood is making.
I would say it's the stuff that
Some
ends
of them
up
are
on
done well, some of them
on the cutting room floor
Dude,
of
Scary
Airplane.
Movie 1 ripoff was so funny.
But it's the stuff they didn't even consider shooting. It's that
Well,
kind of
it's different
terrible.
when you look at Scary Movie and then like most of its sequels were done by these like hack jobs, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it just lowers in quality as it goes.
Well, I
and
mean,
goes.
we've gone a long way from the times of Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker.
Yeah.
You know, those guys, when they made Airplane, when they made Top Secret, you know, they're not out there anymore. Even Mel Brooks isn't doing this. If Mel Brooks or ZAZ had done this, I think it would have been better.
just a
and
sucker
probably gotten a
for
wider
it.
release.
I'm just a sucker for mocking Hollywood.
It's
I
basically like Family Guy, the live action film, or all that. It's pop culture references that are dated 2 months after the movie's out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times 2 months before the movie's out.
And this one is more than a year past the time. So, and there's also a documentary of the band that got back together after 16 years called The Stone Roses. Out next week, The Best Man Holiday and The Book Thief, among others. In other words, this is the respite before we start to get really into the holiday season when we get into the Hunger Games Catching Fire.
The Book
and
Thief
more.
actually looks interesting. It's the first trailer I've seen in a while where they had narration, where the person was like, "This summer," like that. Like,
in a world,
Keanu Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get down. Get down.
Wow, you want to talk about
again.
a bad matchup?
Give the people
Keanu Reeves
walkers.
and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't want to see that film. A film that I'm actually interested in. Ryan, we spent some time talking about this last week. Batman versus Superman, and the potential of Wonder Woman showing up. You have read or seen an interview about this. What, if anything, did you find out, Ryan?
Well, I found out that, speaking of Thor, Lady Sif, played by the great and very beautiful Jamie Alexander, is currently in talks with Warner Brothers / DC to potentially play either Bruce Wayne's love interest — I don't know how that's going to work, that's a terrible idea — or idea number 2 is to potentially play the iconic female superhero known as Wonder Woman.
All right. You had an opinion on this, David.
I think it would be a great call to have Jamie Alexander. And by the way, if you're familiar with the comics, Wonder Woman and Bruce Wayne's love interest, kind of the same. But yeah.
See?
But reports are coming in that there may be a Wonder Woman cameo with Quantum of Solace Bond girl Olga Kurylenko in the role. Apparently they're screen testing her for it as well.
Between the two, don't get me wrong, I think Olga Kurylenko is a good-looking lady, but between the two, I think Jamie Alexander fits in my mind's eye, what Wonder Woman looks like.
I would completely agree.
Any thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, leave her out of it for now.
Leave her out of it? Just drop the idea of Wonder Woman
I'm
at all?
not even too keen on Superman and Batman together after one Superman movie. So
you're thinking they're maybe trying to go too far too fast?
Maybe.
I don't. I'm down. These characters are icons. Let's team them up already. We know who these people are and what they're about. Let's do it.
All right. Josh, anything?
I do think Jamie Alexander looks more like Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Then that Bond girl, I don't think she looks at all like Wonder Woman. I think she's beautiful, but she doesn't fit that at all.
She'd be like a good Talia al Ghul.
Yeah.
All right.
Like the Jamie Alexander, she has like the physicality you've seen from Thor that she can pull it off,
Yeah.
and she's pretty, and she's everything that Wonder Woman is.
So we go from rumors of this to rumors,
what?
David, that you found out about a potentially not only a third with Wonder Woman, but maybe even a fourth superhero showing up in this.
Goodness gracious!
Yes, there is a rumor going about that Nightwing will also appear in the movie. Nightwing being the former Robin Dick Grayson.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold up.
Yep.
You just seem to have blown Jeff's mind.
No, forget it. Just
can't do it.
Whatever, Warner Brothers.
I don't even know
this would
who
be
that
great.
is.
I mean, you get to jump over all of the cheesy Kid Robin and go straight to martial artist Nightwing who hates Batman because
Don't
they've
get me
had
wrong.
a falling out.
I like Nightwing. I like Batman. Batman's my favorite superhero. It's like DC looked at Warner Brothers looked at Marvel and was like, "Look at all that money they made with this team up. Let's do that." Well, you didn't lay the groundwork, Warner Brothers.
All you guys need to Google on YouTube the Batman Superman team up that Carl Schumer did, the skit. It's epic.
I'll look it up.
It's great. It's very professionally done, and it's funny as anything.
All right, Ryan, here we go. Earlier this year, Hugh Jackman in the second attempt at a solo Wolverine film. I think most of us agree, probably a little bit on the lackluster side. I was wanting more.
Yeah.
I really
thought
dug
it
it.
sucked.
Well, there
I
you go.
liked it a lot.
Well, apparently, Ryan, we are going to get more than just the upcoming X-Men Days of Future Past.
Apparently so. They're saying that director James Mangold is going to return to helm another sequel to the Wolverine, as well as star Hugh Jackman is attached to come back as the iconic character known as Logan. But at the same time, I liked Origins. The Wolverine, terrible, worst X-Men film I've ever seen in my life. We don't need any more Wolverine movies. What we do need is team-up movies. I want to see Jubilee. I want to see Gambit. I want to see Cable. I want to see Deadpool. Give us more X-Men, not the same ones, Jack.
So besides Deadpool, why don't you like any cool X-Men people? Cable, Jubilee, man, come on.
I was half expecting Ryan to go, I want to see Captain Carrot.
Nah, man.
Now that would
you
actually
didn't
be
like
good.
the Wolverine, but you liked Origins? Man, we're going to have to,
That's
thumb wrestle or something.
exactly
All right.
opposite of what most people say.
No, I liked Origins more than I liked Wolverine.
So we got two. Wow.
At two?
Ryan and Josh both agree.
And this new one coming out looks great.
I think
X-Men one.
Days of Future Past.
I think
Days of
both
Future Past.
Origins
That one I'm looking forward to.
and the Wolverine, both of those movies had the exact same problem. They screwed up in the climax. Like the climax was cheesy and dumb.
I had fun watching Origins.
Okay. Well, now that we've all gotten our varying opinions, here we go. Ryan, I kind of thought this past October a little bit lacking in what we usually see out of Hollywood for the month of Halloween. Usually we see a whole lot of horror films. And now there's news of another sequel in the horror genre, an 8th installment of a franchise. Really? We're up to 8 on this?
Apparently so. They're saying that Lionsgate is going to set to bring us back to the Saw franchise with an 8th installment with a new cast and a new director to helm it. But once again, I will say, lack of creativity, number one. And number two, some characters are better left dead.
Oh, come on. Saw's awesome.
I haven't seen the 7th one, but all the first 6 were amazing.
Dude, they're great, man.
7th one kind of rolled off the hill for you?
I like the
didn't see it yet,
psychological side of Saw. It's very psychological.
I just love all the twists, all the story twists. It's just
So you're
amazing.
not upset about an 8th version and the fact that Hollywood just seems to have no original ideas anymore?
Oh, yeah. I love that Ryan is the one yelling about that, and he's the one that's like boasting the 47th Fast and Furious movie made and loves it.
Yeah,
He's excited
and
about it.
By the way, I think
No
the Saw
original
movies-
ideas.
The Saw movies are the exception to the no original ideas.
Exactly.
Because every movie they come up with a new
It's so
twist
original.
to blow your mind.
Exactly.
I've never seen one of the Saw films.
You
It
should.
Just sit down and
You're a
watch
better
them
man
all.
for it.
I feel
You're,
like we
horror,
should.
you're a horror guy, Jeff.
I think I saw 3 of them,
Yeah?
and yeah, they were okay.
I think we should allow Ryan to
The only one
respond.
that's
We've just
somewhat
insulted
lacking
him.
that I've seen is number 5.
Okay.
Hey, I saw the first Saw, and I couldn't sleep for a week. So I said to myself, no more Saw. It's terrible. It's bad.
That means it's good.
Actually,
No,
it
it's
probably
not.
means it's pretty good. All right, here we go. Let me throw it out there. Who among us, let's move on. Who among us has seen the latest trailer for the reboot of RoboCop?
Yes, I have.
Me.
Everybody? Yeah?
Sign
Good?
me
Good
up.
to go? Ryan?
I've seen it.
Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. Ryan, real quick, because we're running out of time for this segment. Yes, no?
Thumbs up. I want to see it.
Jeff,
I'll give it a shot.
you give it a shot. David?
Let's do it.
Josh?
Done.
Yep. I liked it. I actually thought it was pretty good. I wasn't a big fan of it to begin with, but I think, Samuel L. Jackson playing kind of a weird dude. Weird looking dude anyway, but again, it's Samuel L. Jackson. And his personality to me overpowers just about any character he portrays. Michael Keaton, I was pretty impressed with. I think it should be pretty good. I can't wait.
Gray is better. Why go black? Why the black? I'm done.
Tired of all these snakes on this.
Yeah, really. All right, David, couple of quick hitters here, semi-related topics. Tell me the latest about Bruce Campbell and Army of Darkness 2. We talked about this last week. There's more, apparently.
Yeah, last week the news was that Fede Alvarez was off of the Evil Dead remake sequel, but he's back on now, he says. He's just waiting on Sam Raimi to do Army of Darkness 2, which Bruce Campbell says he's not doing.
Okay, so last week he said he
was doing
in.
it last week.
This week he said he's out.
And he's contradicting statements by himself. Like, whatever.
Up is down, guys. That's all I can say
Yeah,
about
apparently.
that.
And you mentioned Evil Dead 2, continuing rumors about this. What's this?
Yeah, that's going to come along after Army of Darkness 2, which is apparently not happening according to Bruce Campbell. They're not getting their stories straight.
This is like the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, except it's been going on for like 20 years longer.
Yeah, no kidding. One more thing before we go to break, and then we'll kind of deal with Star Trek and Star Wars. Let's talk Stephen King first. We've seen Stephen King novels adapted into films. Usually, at the box office anyway, it means some pretty good things. There is slated to be a film version of The Cell in the works. What do you know about this, David?
Samuel L. Jackson has signed on to play Tom McCourt opposite John Cusack's Clay Riddell in the upcoming film adaptation of Stephen King's 2006 novel Cell. As in the novel, the film will feature a post-apocalyptic world.
Hey!
Where
have we seen that before?
Where the majority of the population gets turned into monsters due to a corrupted cellular phone network.
AT&T.
So, yeah, really. So you answer your phone and the radio waves from your cell phone mess up your brain and you become a monster?
Sure, apparently.
I think that's already happening.
Has anybody read The Cell?
I've read Cell.
And how close am I?
They don't really turn into monsters. It's more like, dude answers his phone and then turns to the guy next to him and
Got some.
Yeah, bites his jugular and kills it. That kind of stuff.
Like
they turned violent.
It seems like the happening when the wind starts blowing.
When is this thought to come out? Next year?
It doesn't say. There's no...
No one's going to stand next to people on the cell phone afterwards.
It is being directed by Paranormal Activity 2 director Todd Kip Williams.
Now, did Paranormal Activity 2 director, is that the same one from the first one?
I don't think so, no.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I sort of think 28 days later, instead of a rage virus, it's like you get a rage phone call.
It is being co-written by
Stephen
Stephen
King. I get like 5 of
though.
those a day.
That has promise then.
Yes.
If Stephen King has somewhat control over it,
Yeah.
it should be interesting. My question for you, Jeff, is this. This is probably, I think you and I agree, our biggest complaint about Stephen King films. They do really great up until the end, and then for some reason they're like, how do I wrap this up? And then they figure out some little weird, quick, almost untidy way of wrapping it up.
It's like Wolverine movies.
Well, the constant reader, it's all about the journey because I can't do endings.
And I think that tells us all. We'll see where it goes when we come back. A little Star Trek, a little Star Wars, and then we'll get into some TV stuff. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We'll talk about that and more coming up next.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
All right, welcome back in one more time around here in the Entertainment Roundtable. We come back to the music of NCIS, and there's a reason for that. We've got some NCIS news coming up here shortly, but first of all, we're still talking about films, and while some people, David, you weren't overly thrilled by the rebooted Star Trek, it has become a franchise with J.J. Abrams at the helm. However, he's off working on the new Star Wars movie. More on that in a moment. David, the inevitable third installment of Trek, who's taken over for Abrams now that he is, correct me if I'm wrong, he's producing Trek, but he's not directing.
Right. He's staying on as producer, and Paramount is apparently courting Attack the Block director Joe Cornish to come in.
I can get behind that.
And Cornish is he's well known for he's pretty much known for doing like thought-provoking science fiction, which is a complete turnaround from what the Abrams Star Trek has been so far.
Yeah, because the two Abrams Star Treks have been more of the action style genre. There's no doubt about it.
I don't know. I've heard plenty of thoughts about it there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I love the first two, guys. I hated the old Star Trek movies. Never got into them.
Okay. Well, the flip side of that is going to be David. You prefer the original over the reboot.
Yes, in certain ways. Yes.
Real quick, tell
basically,
me.
yes.
Those were the certain ways. He's nostalgic and he doesn't get over it.
No, it's not about nostalgia. It's about actual thought-provoking storylines. It's about intelligent writing. I'm not talking about Star Trek Voyager or something.
No.
I'm talking about the original series. It had a sense of wonder and it had a sense of intelligence. It knew what it was trying to do, whereas this is just lens flare action schlock. But
all right, Jeff, original, reboot, doesn't matter.
The original's better, but I can see what Abrams did. He did reboot it for this modern audience, this audience that has the attention span of a gnat and likes things very shiny.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you think? Original, reboot, doesn't matter?
Well, I haven't seen much of the original to comment nor speculate, so I'm going to leave that one alone. But with the reboot side of things, didn't like the first one that JJ did, but the second one, oh yeah, that was good. So I like the reboot.
I've been able to separate the two of them and realize that this is not Gene Roddenberry's view of it, it's J.J. Abrams' view of what Gene Roddenberry tried to do. Mm-hmm. And I've come to that understanding with a whole lot of lens flare.
Well, so have I. It's just,
So, I like the two. I separate the two of them out. So, to me, it kind of really doesn't matter because I'm taking one version of Star Trek and I'm going with, this one's kind of like an alternate universe, and that's the way I'm going to...
Which is exactly what they did in the first one.
Yeah, pretty much.
They made it an alternate.
Then we go to right about the same time, our good friend Jacob and intrepid listener Daniel checked in. They let me know about Star Wars Episode 7. It appears that Disney, who now owns Lucasfilm, we talked about that earlier this year, they're going away from the tried and true early summer movie release for them. They're actually going to move it into the holiday season of 2015. As it looks right now, the new Star Wars film going to trade places with George Clooney's Tomorrowland. The Clooney film coming out May 22nd of 2015. They're moving Star Wars to December 18th of 2015, exactly 1 week before Christmas. I've got my thoughts on it. I'm going to start with Ryan. Is this a big deal? Not a big deal to you? What?
I'm actually okay with this. Yes, it's a little bit of a shocker that it's moving away from the month of May, but at the same time, why not save the best for last in December?
Doesn't matter to me. Warcraft will be moving shortly, I'm sure. It's slated for that same time period.
Okay. David?
I think with the reception of the prequels, I think they're doing this out of fear. Plus, with all of the big summer blockbusters that are coming out, there's no room for them. They're not going to make any money if they put it out in the summertime. I think this is the correct move, albeit a desperate one.
Josh?
I agree with him. No, I don't really have anything else to say.
I
find your lack of faith disturbing.
I hate this move. I can't stand it because I've seen all 6 of them in the movie theater, and they all came out in May, and I don't. To me, that's where Star Wars belongs. You release it in May, and you leave it in May. That, to me, just it doesn't. It has nothing to do with how the movie may be, how the movie may look. The movie may be the best one of all of them. I don't know that for certain because we're way too far out right now. But to me, this Star Wars belongs in May.
Well, hey, you know what? It occurs to me that Star Trek used to be in December. There used to be holiday releases, and Star Wars was May, but now it's switched.
Yeah,
so
that's also true. It's just very, very.
The world
weird.
is backwards now.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't know why. It just bugs me to no end. Coming out on DVD on Tuesday, you can get Man of Steel. Ryan is going to be camped out, but the question is, Ryan, Man of Steel, or are you going to get the Man of Steel Collector's Edition?
I think I'm just going to stick with the Man of Steel Blu-ray combo pack because I know that collector's edition is like in a special display Superman shield type case. My friend was talking to me about it the other day, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but it comes with a 3D version of the film, and I don't have a 3D TV, nor do I want one. So why would I spend the extra money?
That's so stupid. I don't get the 3D TV.
They're trying to figure out a way to make this work, and then you could get Turbo. For TV series collectors, you can pick up either the final season of Dexter, or if you're really trying to catch up, you could pick up the entire series of Dexter in one box set.
That's a lot of killing.
That's a lot of killing. Okay, we came back into the music of NCIS. And that brings us to CBS's long-running, top-rated scripted show, NCIS. Ryan, they found the replacement for Ziva David. Who is she? Where have we seen her before?
She's somewhat of an unknown actress. Her name is Emily Wickersham. She's been made a series regular. She's going to take on the character of Eleanor Ellie Bishop, who is an NSA analyst who specializes in international threat assessment as well as global preparation. She's going to be taking the place of Ziva's character on NCIS.
I'm probably the biggest NCIS fan among this particular group. I may be the only person who actually watches the show. I don't know. But I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I've seen Emily Wickersham in a couple of things. She's okay. She's going to be fine in this role because really in the end, as much as Ziva David was really liked, she was one of the longest running characters on there. This is a plug-and-play deal. You got to realize this is government agents who get themselves in the line of fire, at least according to the TV show. So I'm willing to give her a chance. I have no problem with it. That said, I saw this past Tuesday's episode with Ralph Waite playing Mark Harmon's characters, Leroy Jethro Gibbs' dad. I thought it was the second best episode I've seen in the entire series.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the best sentence I've heard in this entire show.
It was fantastic.
Wow, must be doing better.
Really enjoyed it.
Then.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was great. Okay, let's go over to ABC. Speaking of right up against NCIS, that's where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is. I think most of us were not getting what we expected out of it. Correct?
I haven't seen this week's episode. If that one goes south, I'm done.
I will say that, to me, at least, this one stepped it up. It's going a little bit more towards what I was hoping, but
agreed.
I was expecting more superhero action. I really was, or at least references to it. We're not getting any of that. Jeff, we're better, worse than what? Yeah.
This, it's still got room to grow, but it's taking baby steps in the right
going
direction.
real slow, though. Yeah, David?
Yeah, I think this last episode was the best episode yet. It was funny. It was suspenseful. Had everything the show should have had all along. Still waiting to see really where it wants to go.
And you haven't really been watching because you're not much of a TV
I have
watcher
one
anyway.
TV show I watch. That's The Walking Dead.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go.
Well, either way, this isn't stopping Disney and Marvel from giving us another TV show based upon their characters. Ryan, what are we talking about here?
Well, Disney and Marvel are going to team up with Netflix, and they're going to develop a series for 4 different heroes as, their own 13-episode miniseries is what each hero is going to get, and then it's eventually going to lead into culminate in one big series. Now, we're talking about 4 characters known as Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage, and Disney, Marvel, and Netflix are in the process of developing these. We don't know who's going to be the showrunners, nor do we know who's going to play these roles, but I'll say it again. Bring in new faces, bring in new heroes. I'm on board with this. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with all 4 of them, including Daredevil.
This might actually prompt me to actually subscribe to Netflix.
Same
Jeff.
here.
Yeah. David?
You guys don't have Netflix?
I don't.
And it's all gearing up into a miniseries. It's going to be called The Defenders. They all team up. I'm serious. It's going to be amazing.
So cool. I like
I'm so down with it.
No,
so
I'm a Netflix guy. Honestly, I don't watch TV a lot, but I'll watch like Netflix originals like
Does
House
this
of
interest
Cards.
you?
Oh, done. I'm on board.
Cool.
I'm of this generation. I
right.
have Netflix, not TV.
David, let's go to you real quick. Agents of
Shiny.
S.H.I.E.L.D. We saw
Let's
Kobe
not,
Smulders. She reprised her Avengers role in the season opener. She's promised that she will show up fairly often, probably more so once she finally gets past How I Met Your Mother, which is in its last season. What has she said about the future of her character in the whole Marvel world?
She's contracted to show up several times, and she said you always say yes when the superheroes come calling. So she's going to show up in Captain America Winter Soldier and purportedly Age of Ultron, Avengers 2, and she says she'll do it as long as they'll have her, pretty much.
I like it.
Make her a series regular on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and I don't know whether she'll be a regular. I think she will probably show up more often once she gets past this year and the final year of How I Met Your Mother. I think that's the biggest trip-up point right now. Over to Fox and the comedy New Girl. They got a recognizable name in the cast in Damon Wayans Jr., but David, I guess the question is he sticking around long-term, or is this kind of just stunt casting?
Well, he did come back for 4 more episodes, but now they apparently like having him back so much they've signed him for the rest of the season as a special guest star.
Okay, so he'll stick around for the rest of the year anyway.
I'm guessing he'll probably be a main cast member next year.
I would think so. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I don't watch the show myself, but a lot of people say that his character has done well.
He was the only good part of the pilot.
Gotcha. Ryan, over to FX. The network has a hit on their hands with the miniseries/series American Horror Story. I know that, Jeff, you like it.
I like it.
I do too, but I've got the last 4 episodes sitting on my DVR. I haven't caught up on yet.
All right. Do they like it enough to keep it around, Ryan?
Yes, they do. They've renewed it for a 4th season consisting of another 13 episodes. It's going to air sometime in the year of 2014. And also, one minor note here, Justified returns on January 7th.
And there you go. That's Jeff. He's happy. He can't wait, quite frankly. I'm looking forward to it myself. CW Network has become kind of superhero happy, very successful in the show Arrow on the heels of Smallville, which, Ryan, you're a huge fan of. They're developing the Flash show as well. Our good friend Jacob, who should return sometime shortly after the high school football season wraps up and we get to move back to Friday nights, by the way. He has informed me the network is working up a show called Our Man, based upon the DC Comics character that can see the future in flashes and tries to stop then bad things. According to the story, Michael Kaleo, am I right in pronouncing that? Do we know? Who most recently was the writer on the NBC's failed Ironside, Dan Lin of The Secret Lives of Wives, and Jennifer Gwartz of the Veronica Mars fame. They're going to be executive producing. There's no word on when they want to get the show to air, so we don't know who might star in it or anything like that. I don't even know whether this is 2014 or 2015, because Flash, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't supposed to debut until 2015 season,
Correct.
Ryan?
Or no, I think it's later this season. He's going to debut on Arrow.
Well, I knew he was going to show up in. I knew he was going to show up in.
They're going to give him his own show.
Yeah, I knew that he was going to show up in spurts, but I thought he wasn't going to show up until, as his own show until 2015 year.
Oh yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. It'll be interesting to see. All right, let's get back to movies here real quick.
I'm for that.
Holiday season upon us. We got Thor coming out. We've got Hunger Games catching fire. We got The Hobbit. We've got big movies that are coming out here over the next couple of months through New Year's Day.
Ryan 2.
Set us up. Yeah, Anchorman 2. Ryan, set us up here real quick. You read a report that predicts how the box office is going to be at the end of the holiday season. What are they saying?
They comprise the list of what they think are going to be the top dogs, the top 10 dogs, big dogs in the yard of the holiday season of films, if you will. Now, they're saying that number 1 is going to be Hunger Games with Catching Fire. Number 2, they believe that Thor: The Dark World is going to rule over very well in Midgard as well as Earth. And number 3, they're saying that The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, is going to be number 3, I believe.
Okay. Josh is over here automatically disagreeing. Let's stay with you, Ryan. Do you agree with that, or do you think that is going to be jumbled up?
There could be some surprises here and there, but I actually agree with the top 3 anyway. I haven't had a real chance to look over the other 10 on this list.
All right, well, let's just stick with the top 3 here because I think all of us agree. I mean, you mentioned Anchorman 2 and all the other films that are coming out. I think these 3 are the big monsters that are coming out this particular fall or winter season. So you seem to disagree. Hunger Games...
I'll put money on this. I agree with the top 3, just not the order.
Okay,
I believe that it will be Hunger Games number 1.
So you agree with number 1.
Hobbit, definitely number 2.
You're going Hobbit number 2 with Thor number 3?
Thor number 3.
Okay.
I'll put money down on that.
You actually, during the break, you threw out some numbers.
Yeah,
what
I think that Hunger Games is going to do 400 million.
Okay.
Domestic.
All right.
And probably $1 billion, worldwide.
So that puts The Hobbit where?
That puts The Hobbit under it. Probably Hobbit, I'm thinking probably 280 million, 300 million range.
So you're thinking Thor's not going to, or
no.
It's not going to get near like 250 mil?
Well, I think Thor will probably end up at 200.
200 mil. Okay. Jeff, what do you see? You see it the way that the prediction was, or do you think it's going to be a different run?
I'm going to go, I'm going to think about it. Hunger Games first, Hobbit very close behind, and I'm not sure. Anchorman might outperform Thor.
Nah, it's not. Anchorman can't. The Marvel franchise is so big that it's almost impossible to beat that. So I think that, Thor ends up 200,
Thor's
250.
Big,
so I don't think
Anchorman has become legend.
It has become legend, but it's probably going to be an R. And you have to realize Thor is what, PG-13 at best?
PG-13.
Yeah, so you're going to have more family, teenager audiences going out to Thor, and you're going to have more adults like me and you going out to... Are you sleeping? I'll break that glass and punch you in the face.
I wanted an explanation, so
there you go.
Okay.
So basically, that's the explanation.
Okay, so far we've only got one person that agrees with the rundown here of Hunger Games, then Thor, then The Hobbit.
We need to come back to this, so someone needs to write this down or record it.
I think The Hobbit's gonna beat out the Hunger Games.
Barely. No.
Barely. And then Thor will be third. But I think Thor's going to make at least 280 to 3 mil.
You're going to
300 mil.
See, I tend to agree that I think they all 3 step up over what the originals did because we have gotten to the point where the Marvel films are they're that entrenched in us. I think it's going to do much better than most people think.
Yeah.
I've kind of thought about it, and I'm thinking, Hunger Games, and now this one being so much more anticipated, I think it's got the chance to even break maybe its first, but it'll certainly match its first one, which made $400 million. I think The Hobbit comes really, really close because this one, people are looking at the first one and going, I really want the second one to do that much better. And I think Desolation of Smaug does The Empire Strikes Back. I think it's probably the best of this trilogy that's coming out.
So is Catching Fire, though.
Yeah, I think that could be very much it.
I think they're all 3 going to be really close. And
Gentlemen,
Anchorman's not going to come anywhere near it.
I thank you so much for your time. Look forward to predictions on this. We will certainly save it. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you one weekend from this weekend.